Okay, good morning, everyone. The first thing we're gonna do today is make the Portuguese kale soup. Bring that a little closer so I can, there you go. That's good. Okay. So, this is not a recipe from when we were in Portugal. This is a recipe from a Portuguese lady that my mother knew. So anyway, it's 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I have the olive oil in the pot. Here I have the onion, 1.5 pounds of potatoes, 8 cups of water, a teaspoon of kosher salt. Instead of doing the salt, I'm gonna put in some of the chicken base. This is not vegetarian, so it doesn't really matter if I use the chicken stock. A half pound of chorizo. Now everybody knows what chorizo is. It's a garlicky Spanish sausage. It's very spicy and, I mean, not hot, but just pungent. And then a large bunch of kale. And this is a large, right here, this is, well, you'll see it. This is a large bunch of kale. Now this cooks down to nothing, of course, but I'm going to show you how to take the stems off. So in a large stock pot, heat the oil. So I'll turn the oil on. Saute the onion until it colors lightly. The onion has to be finely chopped, so I'm going to do that. Going in the pot. All right, so now we have 1.5 pounds of potatoes. Meanwhile, peel and slice the potatoes thinly. I used a 4-millimeter disc of the Cuisinart. If you don't have the Cuisinart and the 4-millimeter disc, you could slice these by hand, but you just want to get them thin because otherwise it's going to take a long time for these to cook. Add the potatoes and salt to the pot, stir well, and cook about 4 to 5 minutes. So I'm going to slice the potatoes now. Now, of course, if you want to, you can do the mandolin for this. The Cuisinart is fast, and they're all exactly the same. See? That's why the Cuisinart is nice to use this. Or the mandolin. Either one will work fine. Okay, so this is going in the pot. I'm going to cook these for about 3 or 4 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, now for the chorizo. Now chorizo is not raw, but we want to still cook it. So we want to get it a little golden. Now remember, I'm going to slice this thinly because we're making soup. And what do we say about soup? Everything has to fit on the spoon. So we're not going to just, cut this in half. We're going to slice it up. Then I'm going to cook this in this pot. Okay. There we go.
What type of potatoes?
I'm sorry?
Mary Sue would like to know what type of potatoes.
Oh, use Yukon Gold. You can use anything you want. This is peasant food. When you're when you're doing cousin food, you're happy to have whatever you've got. Now, when we were in Portugal, and I know that some of you heard me talk about this, but this lady in the cooking class had fresh peas, and she cooked them for an hour. And I was aghast that she cooked them for an hour. I mean, they were just literally, they looked like baby food by the time they were done. And I told this to David, who's a dentist, and he said, you know, they don't have very good dental care there. So people have a lot of problems with their teeth. And that's probably why they want everything to be very, very, very soft when they cook it. And I didn't even think of that when I was complaining about how long she cooked the peas. But if people don't have any dental care and their teeth hurt all the time, they're going to eat soft food. Because we found that a lot of the food in Portugal was very, very, very overcooked. So for the kale, now the first thing you have to do with the kale is take out, I don't know if you can see the size of this stem, but it's enormous. So we're going to take out the stem. Now you can cut it off, or you can just, see what I'm doing? I'm just pulling the leaves off. We don't want any of the stem in there at all. Now I'm going to chiffonade this, and then I'm going to rinse it. Sometimes this is even hard to pull off. It's so tough. Just stirring up the sausage a little bit. Okay, I'm going to put the water in now, in the pot. Instead of putting in salt, I'm going to put in some of the chicken base. You can use salt and water, of course, but since I have the chicken base, and we didn't have the chicken base when this recipe was done, so that's why some of these changes a little bit are nice. Okay, so we're going to cover this up, let that come to a boil, and then cook it till the potatoes are tender. Now if you wanted to speed this up a little bit, you could heat up the water, make it boiling, and of course that would let this come back to a boil faster. I'm not in that much of a hurry because I'm going to do the pork in the meantime. Now when this sausage is all cooked, I'm going to have a lot of fond in the pan. So I think what I might do is take a little bit of the soup, put it into the pot, and clean up that fond because it looks nice. All right, back to the kale. Any questions? Don't forget, Karen is here waiting for your questions. I know this looks like a lot of kale, but it's only about 3/4 of a pound.
Do you get that at Restaurant Depot too?
Yeah. When you buy it, you buy a bunch, but you pay for it by the pound, usually.
How do you have to, you can buy just a bunch in there?
Oh, yes. No, not a Restaurant Depot.
Oh.
No.
You gotta buy a case?
No, they have smaller amounts.
What do we get, like 4 bunches?
It was 4 bunches.
That's not bad.
The least you could buy, yeah, no, it wasn't bad.
Is that the least you can buy? Because,
Yeah. I mean, it's an enormous bag because this is so
yeah, they sell,
bulky.
I get the organic looks so nice and Stop and Shop. It's nice and big.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna ship it out of this and I'm gonna throw it back in the colander and then rinse it off.
Turn this down a little bit.
Okay. Keep stirring that up, okay?
Smells so good.
Now this would be your meal, the soup. This wouldn't be an appetizer soup. This would be your meal.
Someone would like to know, can you get Spanish chorizo in the supermarket?
Oh gosh, yes. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Is that what it's called? Spanish?
Chorizo.
Chorizo.
Chorizo?
Chorizo. It's chorizo. Yeah, you can make that anywhere.
So we have a lot of chorizo left over, so I'm gonna try coming up with a like sheet pan dinner with using the chorizo, like you roast it with other things. So I'll let you know how it goes. Probably with potatoes too, I would think. I'll have to figure it out.
Yeah.
I love sheet pan dinner, so.
The potato masher is in the kitchen in the second floor room.
Okay. Keep an eye on that. You want me to turn this off? This looks pretty
Yes,
good.
it's done. That's good. That's done. Okay, so now my kale is all chopped, and I'm going to rinse this. The reason I didn't rinse it before I cut it is because the leaves hold on to so much water. It makes such a mess when you're trying to cut it up, and the water is going everywhere. So I just prefer to rinse it after I chop it. So this looks good. The chorizo is done.
Should we turn the camera? A little bit?
Yeah, you can. This still needs about another. Yeah, we'll give it another 5 minutes. Okay. Put the camera on for 5 minutes, Tony. So I'll check it in 5 minutes. Okay. So let's look at the recipe for the pork. Now this has a raspberry mustard. We have to make the raspberry mustard. So first, the oven's on, right? 400?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So we have thyme, salt, pepper, allspice, cinnamon, and garlic, and all those things are in here. So all even amounts. I know it sounds like an odd combination, but it's really delicious. 2 12-ounce pork tenderloins, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 tablespoon of butter, 2 tablespoons of blackberry brandy, 1 1¼ cups of low-sodium chicken broth. Where's what I make that? Yeah, make that one. Make it. Do it in a 2-cup measure.
Yep.
A teaspoon of cornstarch and 1/4 cup of blackberry mustard. The recipe is below. And all that goes. That makes a nice sauce. In a small bowl, stir together the thyme, salt, pepper, allspice, cinnamon, and garlic powder. I did that. Remove all visible fat from the pork tenderloins and sprinkle with the spices. Press spices in and let rest for 10 minutes or longer. In a large, shallow pan, sear the meat on 3 sides in hot oil and butter for about 5 to 6 minutes total. Do not wash the pan. Place the meat in a baking dish and roast at 400 for 15 minutes. Save the pan drippings. To test for doneness, the meat thermometer should read 155. While meat is in the oven, make the raspberry mustard below. Okay, so let's do that. So here I have a pork tenderloin. Now you can see it has a little bit of fat on it. And I'm also going to take off the silver skin. Now you don't have to take off the silver skin, but if you don't, sometimes it curls. The silver skin is not going to hurt you if you eat it, but I'm not big on leaving it on, so I'm going to just take it off. I'm using a boning knife. I'm just going underneath the silver skin, and it comes right off, usually in one piece. And the cornstarch is in the cabinet. I didn't get it out.
Cornstarch?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so now I've got the silver skin off. And I'm gonna throw that away. And then here I have my nice fat-free tenderloin. Okay? So we're gonna put this spice mix and I'm gonna rub it in. Like that. All right. And we're going to let it rest for 10 minutes. And now here it's already rested. So now I'm just going to throw this a little bit extra on here. And then we're going to cook this for a couple of minutes on all sides. And we're going to use a roasting pan. I mean a shallow saute pan. So I'm going to switch this out. I'm going to put a little bit of oil in here. And a little bit of butter.
Do you have butter?
Yep.
Out?
Nope. Get it right here. Now, we're making the sauce from all the drippings in this pan. So when I'm searing this, I'm going to have the flavor of the spices, but I'm also going to have the butter because I'm going to put some cornstarch in here. And we're going to make a nice sauce out of this. A little bit hot. What do we got left? Oh, only a few seconds. Okay, good. I'm going to go back and forth because I have to. I have no choice.
It's taking all my strength not to eat that sausage. It smells so good.
It smells
Take a
wonderful.
piece. It's okay. We have plenty.
No. It's 10 o'clock.
I
It's a
know.
little early for chorizo. It smells so good.
This is, when we went to Portugal, this is what they did with the chorizo. They put it on that dish, the ceramic dish with the alcohol, and lit it, and then flamed it, and then, that's called Portuguese fast food. And people just cut it and slice it and eat it with cheese or whatever. With a toothpick. It's an appetizer. That was good. We didn't like the food in Portugal very much, but that was good. All right, so I've got my butter and oil hot. I'm gonna put this in. And then sear it on all sides for a couple of minutes. All right, that's for the soup. Let's test this. Yep, they're done. Now remember, I'm not using a stick blender for this. We're not trying to make wallpaper paste, because that's what it would be like. If we got the stick blender in here and pureed these potatoes with this water, oh my God, it would be awful. And the potato chunks are not that big because we sliced them fairly thin, so they're falling apart. Okay. So we mashed up the potatoes. Now it says, when the potatoes are done, mash with the potato masher. Do not use a stick blender and add the cooked chorizo. Let simmer about 5 minutes. Add the kale and simmer 5 minutes more or until the kale is tender. So first thing I'm going to put the chorizo in, but then I'm going to put a little bit of the soup into that pan and deglaze that pan because we have such nice fond there.
Jackie wants to know, do you want the potato to be chunky or mashed?
Oh, you're not going to let them mash them all. They're going to be still pieces.
You get some- Can you see that?
No, move it over a little out of the steam.
Yeah, so there's pieces. See that?
I'm gonna put some of the soup in here and deglaze this pan. Because look at all that. Look at all this nice fond I have. And that's flavor from the sausage. And you might not have that depending on how you cook the sausage, but since I do have it, I don't want to waste it. I'll be able to put this pan away before I'm done with it.
Turn that Pork Tenderloin.
Yes. Good. All right.
Every last drop.
Very last drop. In the pan, clean. All right.
What is this? It's too hot.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it's too hot. Okay, this is going in the oven now. Okay? And I'm not washing the pan. Okay. So we're going to give this 5 more minutes, and then we're going to add the kale. Okay, so this is the pan that I'm going to make the sauce in. So, let me tell you what I'm going to do. Okay, it says, while the meat is in the oven, make the raspberry mustard. Okay, so for the raspberry mustard, we have 6 ounces of blackberries that are fresh. Those are in the Cuisinart. I have Dijon mustard, honey, balsamic vinegar, dry mustard, and horseradish. That's all in here, in this little bowl. Okay? Place the berries and strain, discard seeds. Now, when you process blackberries, blackberries have a lot of seeds, so you're not going to get much from this. Mix the blackberry puree with the Dijon mustard, honey, vinegar, dry mustard, and horseradish. Whisk well, makes 1 cup. Can be made up to 2 weeks ahead and stored in a tightly covered jar, yields 1 cup. And of course, you can do more with this than just this recipe. You can put this on other things as well. Now, when I strain this, I'm going to strain it through a fine sieve because I want to catch everything. Okay? Let me get a small bowl. The berries are in here. They're not cooperating. I'm going to put a little liquid in there. Okay. I put in about a tablespoon of puree. A tablespoon of water. And it helps get it into the blade because there's not really very much volume here. push the puree through. Remember, this is going to catch all the seeds. And these seeds, of course, I'm going to discard. All right.
How much volume of the, after you strain it, how much do you have left?
In here,
Mm-hmm.
I probably have maybe a third of a cup, half a cup. That's all. This is the rest of the ingredients. And I'm just going to stir this all up. And this is my raspberry mustard. Now, I used regular horseradish. Oh, okay. But if you don't normally have horseradish in your house, this is the horseradish that I used. Okay. I know it's a big. I know it's a big.
That's why I'm laughing. I buy it like in a jar like this.
I know, but I use a lot of horseradish because I make a lot of
Cocktail sauce.
cocktail sauce. So I use horseradish. But you can always use, now this is Penzeys. You know, all the spices that we're using today are Penzeys. This is dried horseradish. And all you have to do is reconstitute this with a little bit of water. And for something like this, it's perfect. Because it's going to give you the heat and the flavor, but without, you know.
There you go.
Okay, so anyway, this is a good thing to have in the house. I always have this in the house just in case I want to make horseradish sauce. You know, when I make a tenderloin, I always serve it with horseradish sauce, and you just put this into sour cream, and you've got your horseradish sauce. So it's nice, but because this, you know, this doesn't keep forever, but this will keep forever. Okay, so there's my raspberry mustard. This was 5 minutes for the chorizo.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to put in the kale. Now you can see why I need such a big pot, but this is going to cook down to nothing. This is going to cook just like spinach cooks.
There may be one pot in the kitchen in the other room that you didn't use.
I know.
I know. I can't plan things like that, honey. I'm planning things about with the time, not with the pots.
Yeah, clearly.
And the equipment.
Yeah.
And the equipment.
I know. Okay, so let's go back to the pork now. The pork's in the oven. We have the timer on.
Oh, is that the timer for the pork? Oh no, you have the timer on the oven.
Yeah. Okay. Don't scare me. Okay, so now, while meat is in the oven, make the raspberry mustard. Add the black raspberry brandy to the saute pan and bring to a boil. So this is my saute pan. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on. Now don't ever pour the brandy right out of the bottle. You always want to measure it into a cup because you can terrible things can happen when you pour brandy right out of a bottle. I'm going to add this. Okay, and I'm going to, it's boiling, I'm going to add the chicken stock and boil to reduce by half. Now I have 1 1/4 cups of stock here, and I'm only going to put in a cup because I want to save 1/4 of a cup to dissolve the cornstarch. Okay, let's get this over high heat. Now, you see why I'm using such a wide pan? The bigger the pan is, the more surface area you have, the faster this is going to reduce. I'm going to take my cornstarch and dissolve it in this stock. You always have to dissolve cornstarch in a cold liquid. This kind gets stock, sometimes it's water, sometimes it's milk, sometimes it's whatever.
Oh,
Juice.
you know what, Mom? I actually used hot water for that because I was dissolving the stock base.
Oh, but it's cold enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cold enough now.
But
Yeah.
that would have lumped if it was super hot, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would lump if it was boiling, yeah. But it's not, it wouldn't stay boiling when it was
Well,
sitting
no, I know, but I mean, when I dissolve the chicken base, I
Right.
always try to
Yeah,
use the
right.
hottest water possible.
It helps
Yeah.
make it dissolve, yeah. Okay, so after that has been reduced, I'm gonna add to reduced pan drippings along with 1/4 raspberry mustard. So I'm gonna add the cornstarch and a little bit of stock to the pan with 1/4 cup of this mixture. The rest of it we're gonna put into a squeeze bottle. But this has to reduce for a little bit first.
Do you have a squeeze bottle on?
No, it's in there on that bridge. Okay, questions. This is a good time for questions.
Can you use blackberry jam?
Instead of blackberry raspberry? Instead of blackberry brandy?
I don't know.
No. And probably instead of the blackberry.
Instead of the black, I guess instead of pureeing it.
Who said that?
I don't know.
Oh.
I would probably give that a shot.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's too sweet. There's sugar in jam. No. And plus, how could, no.
I could see somebody.
Whoever said that, I would have tried that for sure.
Okay, I got,
I like pork with sweetness, so I could see it. I don't know.
all right, well.
Cutting down
okay.
those steps.
Yeah.
So try it then. Take it away? No.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I'll make it tonight or Kale. I want to try that soup.
And see if this kale is done.
Okay.
Oh my God, it smells so good.
Pretty chewy still.
Okay.
I'll give it a little longer.
Okay.
Got some teeth to it.
Yeah, we don't want that. Okay, my stock is reduced. I'm going to add this. I'm going to add the raspberry mustard. And this is going to thicken up a little bit. When the pork is done, we're going to slice it and we're going to put it back into the pan. And this is going to thicken up a little bit because of the cornstarch, of course. Karen, ready to eat pork tenderloin at 2 o'clock in the morning?
No.
I'll do it. Don't worry. Looks really good.
Come up there.
No, thank you.
You want some soup?
Sure.
You gotta have the eye roll. That eye roll is what I live for.
My eye rolls in the other kitchen. I saw those.
Cook it up.
Oh my gosh.
Where do you take them with the mascarpone? You haven't lived. I mean, before they were good, these are to die for. And I'm using the caramel cocoa. And I never thought it would make that much of a difference. But it makes that much of a
That's the only cocoa I buy now.
Me too. I don't buy anything else.
That big bag, and it's,
Yeah.
I go through it.
I know. We're gonna have to use, when we do the Brooklyn blackout cake, we have to use, Dutch cocoa.
Is that the last, what's, because of the pH? Is that why you use it,
Yeah.
Dutch?
Yeah.
That's the last class?
No, it's next
The
to
second.
last.
Next one.
Oh, the cake is out of this world. But you have to use Dutch chocolate for that. Dutch cocoa, so, oh, that's the only time I really use Dutch cocoa.
Alright, I think this is good.
Okay?
Oh,
So-
I smell that allspice.
Yeah, smells nice. Okay, we're gonna let this sit for about, just a couple of minutes.
Huh?
Put some foil over that. Alright. So you think that, the soup is almost ready?
Getting there.
Okay, well, you know what, for a couple of minutes, we can talk about the, whoopie pies.
Yeah, I would give that a soup a couple more minutes.
Okay. All right, well, the whoopie pies,
Done with this?
yeah, you can, yeah. So for the whoopie pies, this is a great recipe for the summer. Now what I do, and I'm gonna tell you a story. So you think that, I mean, Steph said I have to always be knocked down a few notches, but this is gonna knock me down a lot of notches. So everybody in my family loves these, so I make them very often. So one day last summer, I guess that they were having one of those fire pit things or something like that, you know, you sit around outside and so I made these for they weren't here, the party wasn't a party, it was just a little get together, it wasn't here, it was someplace else, I had to send them. And I always wrap them individually in plastic wrap, and I put them in a tin, and then I put them in the freezer or in the fridge, I have to really stay in the fridge or the freezer with this mascarpone. So I put them in a tin, and 6 didn't fit. Now this makes about 20, 22, 23 cookies, but 6 didn't fit, so I put the 6 in the refrigerator. So I didn't even eat one, I didn't taste anything, I just put them in the refrigerator. But that night, I don't know what happened to me, but I said, oh, those whoopie pies are in the fridge, so I walked all the way over to the fridge, I took one out, I was watching a show, I came back to the couch, I sat down, and I ate it, and it was delicious. It was delicious. So then I said, oh, I'm gonna have one more. And guess what I did? I ate all 6 of them. Now, I should have died. I should
It's
have.
awful.
You know, because that's a lot. But every single one of them was delicious. You know, sometimes if you eat a lot of the same thing, the end of it isn't as good as the beginning. Well, that's not the case with these. When I told the kids what I did, they couldn't believe it because one of these is nice. 2 is pushing it, but 6 is like overkill. So I just want to tell you, if you have these in the house,
So after you make them, you leave them in the
I
freezer?
put them in the freezer, yeah. You can eat them frozen, and believe me, I've eaten them frozen, but to store them for a long time. Oh, I know what I did. I was sending these to a neighbor. That's what I was doing. She asked me to make them, and I was sending them over to her house. That's what it was. And I put them in a tin, and I made these a lot though. And the Kale, like I said, the Kale chocolate is absolutely out of this world with these. So it's worth it to get the Kale if you can. Okay, let's taste this soup again. Now this you realize is going to be ferociously hot when you try this. I'm not a big fan of kale, so
Oh,
you like it?
love it. I love kale. I make that kale salad that you or Steph made a few years ago all the time.
Oh, this is good. This is delicious. Okay. Steph, it's ready, honey. And of course, if you want to add, and that's what it looks like when you serve it. Okay, if you want to put in more chorizo, you certainly can. Remember, this is a peasant dish, so a little bit of meat is all they would be able to afford. It would be a treat even with a little bit of meat, but if you want to put in more, not a problem at all. Okay. So we can move this out of the way.
Are there no napkins in there?
Yeah, I got it. Kind of run out. How much is napkins?
No, those are tissues.
Oh, there's part of napkins? Yeah. There's plenty of napkins.
I sent this down there for you. Thank you. Oh, it smells so good.
Oh my God.
Isn't that delicious?
It really is.
It really is delicious. For such simple ingredients.
It has so much flavor for
Yeah,
just
I know.
4
I know.
ingredients. It's crazy.
I know.
I like it with the chicken stock though, I bet. You know.
Well, I didn't put in much space. I just
Yeah.
put in like a couple of teaspoons. This tenderloin is cooked perfectly.
Mm.
Now any drippings here go in the pan. Any pan drippings here go in the pan. We're trying to recoup every single speck of every single thing we've got here. Every bit of flavor. Okay?
This tastes healthy even though it's got sausage in it.
It's
you
so
know?
good.
Yeah. Well,
It's
no,
really
it,
hot.
it is healthy. I mean, there's not that much chorizo in it.
Mm.
No, there's not.
You, like I said, you could put more, but
Could you take it out of the casing and crumble
sure,
it?
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I might like that too.
Yep.
Oh, maybe that's outside. No?
Is there a brand of? Let me see. Is there a brand of chorizo that you recommend?
Not really. I mean,
No.
okay, so this is the pork. Just put it a little bit. And I'm just gonna put some raspberry mustard to puddle it up. And that's how you serve it with some rice. Okay? You ready to try? You wanna try this?
No, thank you. Not right now. I'm gonna finish my soup.
Okay. Okay, so that's our pork. Now, if you want to do this ahead, you would just do it to this point, and then just warm it up gently. Not a problem, because the meat only cooked to 155. It isn't going to overcook. So it's a nice recipe to do for company. Easy to serve. You could serve a vegetable with it if you wanted to. I think the rice is nice because then you get a chance to absorb the sauce. But it's really a nice company dish. It's a nice family night dish too. All right. So I haven't used every single piece of equipment. I almost have.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
God.
What? Oh, I know. It's a mess. I know. All right. Now for the whoopie pies. Now I'm going to read the ingredients. And I know the first question is going to be, can I substitute something for the shortening? I know it is. We have 2/3 of a cup of shortening. That's Crisco. That's my brand I use. Whatever brand you have is fine. So shortening is, solid vegetable shortening. 1 1/4 cups of sugar, 2 1/4 cups of sifted flour, 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 cup of cocoa, 1 cup of milk, 2 eggs, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Beat the shortening and the sugar together.
It's so good.
I know it's good, but
It's delicious.
No,
Is this your mom's recipe or?
my mom's mother's friends.
It's really good.
Okay, so I have to sift together all the dry ingredients, and first I'm gonna sift the flour. I've made this recipe so many times. I don't have to look at it, but you can follow along with me. Sifting the flour. Oops. I'm gonna measure 2 cups. I'll sift it right into the cup. And we need a quarter of a cup. Sorry, I used to use the mustard. Yeah. All right, so now, I gotta get everything out of this sifter, so I'm gonna put everything back into the sifter. All right. So I'm gonna put the flour back into the sifter. I'm gonna put in the flour, all the flour. I'm going to add the rest of the dry ingredients, which is the baking soda, the cream tartar, the salt, and the cocoa. And we're going to sift it together.
So why the cream of tartar, Mom?
Because they used to always have Dutch cocoa.
Ah.
So if you use Dutch cocoa in this recipe, then the cream of tartar would cure the baking soda. So I'm allowing for somebody, an old-fashioned person that only buys Dutch cocoa.
So if I use if you use the Calambo, you leave out the,
No.
oh no, you, yeah.
Still want the cream tartar. It's only a quarter teaspoon. Okay, so there's my dry ingredients. My cream, my sugar and Crisco are beaten together. Now I'm going to add this alternately. What I've got here is a cup of milk, 2 eggs, and some vanilla. I'm going to add on low speed. Now, the Crisco does tend to stick to the sides of the bowl. So you have to keep scraping the bowl. Otherwise, this is not going to be mixed properly. The Crisco is stuck in the whisk. Steph, I need those trays that are in the kitchen, and I need 3 of them.
Yep.
You always want to start and end with flour. I'm going to scrape this bowl a few times to make sure I have no Crisco stuck on the bottom of the bowl. Now, one of the benefits of using the glass bowls, I can see that, but just in case, it doesn't hurt to keep scraping the bowl. I need one more.
Yep. You want me to use this stuff on them?
Yep.
Do you not have to flour it because you use this stuff?
Correct.
Oh, that's convenient.
Yeah. It's like one-stop shopping.
Yep.
Now, we're not using a silk hat, we're not using a parchment paper sheet, because I want to have a little tiny bit of a crust on the bottom of these cookies. It helps to hold them together better when you're filling them.
Show me that,
Pardon?
you know, that Stephanie used your mixture.
Does the
1 cup of flour, 1 cup of Crisco, half a cup of oil.
Did you already do this, or is this from last?
This is from this morning. Okay, so now I'm going to take a scoop. And you can just use a spoon and push it off your finger if you want. Either one will work. Now you want to try to make them all the same size, because this is a cookie that you put together. So obviously you want the tops and the bottoms to match. Did you put the confectioner sugar in the cheese?
No.
Okay. we're gonna do about 15 on each tray, and this makes about 2 dozen cookies. Don't forget there are 2 pieces to each cookie. Okay, Steph, finish these up, honey.
Okay, doke. You want me to make the other one?
Cameron, you take those 2 trays in here, and take the bowl
Oh, okay.
Bring
Well,
one
Over to you?
in there. She's
Oh,
gonna
okay.
set them, she's gonna finish up in there. And come back and get the bowl. Okay, so now we're gonna make the filling. Now, the fluff filling is the standard filling. But I decided that I wanted to up the game a little bit, so I just made up this filling. It's delicious. So, what we have is 8 ounces of mascarpone and 8 ounces of cream cheese.
Oh, I see.
And I'm gonna mix this together with some confectioner's sugar. 1 cup. Now this is way less sweet than the fluff filling. The fluff filling is sweet. This is not as sweet. And that's why I like this even better, because again, I'm not big on really sweet things. So we're gonna put a cup of confectioner's sugar in the bowl along with the 2 cheeses. I'm going to do this on low speed because I don't want to be wearing this sugar. And as soon as that is smooth, I'm going to add very slowly a 1.5 cups of heavy cream, but very slowly. And you know why I'm going to add it very slowly? I don't want to be wearing it. Okay, there's my 1.5 cups of cream. I'm going to put the vanilla right into the cream so I don't forget it. Okay, so this is all mixed up nice. This is, both these creams and the sugar are very well mixed. You can see I have no streaks of anything. Okay, that's what I want to look for. So now I'm going to drizzle in the cream. So it's on as low as it'll go. See how slowly I'm pouring this cream? Let me scrape the bowl a little bit. Still on as low as it'll go. Now I'm going to pick up the speed, and I'm going to beat this until it's soft and soft peaks form, just like whipped cream. Now, when I fill these cookies, I pretty much know how much to put in each one, but if you have no idea take them and fill half of them, and then if you have a lot left over, go back and put a little more. If you can't fill all 24, you know you put too much. But if you have any of this left over, you can just eat it. Just eat it. All right, so. Now you want to get a cookie the same size. And that's what it looks like. Okay? Now I take them, and I take a piece of plastic wrap them up individually like this, and then put them in a tin. Because if you just put these in the fridge, not covered or not wrapped up, of course, they will pick up flavors like you can't even imagine. You ready for one of these, kiddo?
I'll wait.
Really? You're gonna wait?
Oh.
Wow, you're a saint.
Did you put the vanilla in? Somebody want to know? Yeah, you
I put it into the cream so I wouldn't forget it. Because it's very easy to forget the vanilla. Because that goes in at the last if you don't. I mean, you don't want to put it in with the cheese. But you can put it at the end, or I threw it in with the cream. But you don't want to forget it. Now there's quite a bit of filling in these, if you can see.
Yeah, they're really thick.
It's a lot. So to eat 6 of these was a lot. A lot. So again, if you have no idea how much filling to put in, count them, turn half of them over, portion it out, and then go back and put the covers on. And that's it. They're delicious. You ready for whoopie pie?
Oh God, no. I mean, I will be, but not right now. How long do these things cook?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
And you know, check them at 9.
I put them on for 8.
Oh, okay. Now since I use the scoop, they're all pretty much the same size. And that's one of the benefits of using the scoop. It takes a little bit longer than pushing them off with your finger, but you know you're guaranteed portion control here.
Which size scoop was that?
I think it's a tablespoon. Okay, so that's it. We have questions? Turn everybody on, and we'll have questions now.
Yeah, tell everybody unmute.
So unmute yourselves. And that's the last time I'm going to say this, because next week you're going to be here. Yay! I can't wait.
I'll turn it up.
As anxious as you are, I'm more anxious.
Oh, that's down. There you go. Can you see everybody? Maybe I should.
No, I can't see you, but
This one?
No, go to view.
Up here.
Did you say bake them for 9 to 10 minutes? Is that what you said?
9 to 10 minutes, yeah.
Okay.
I never ever cook anything the whole time without checking it a little sooner.
Okay.
So, and my ingredients were not all cold, so that makes a difference. I had the milk out, I had the eggs out, so if everything is cold, of course it's going to take a little bit longer.
Okay.
But it's always a good idea to check it a little bit before. Remember, you can't uncook anything. So, next week you're going to be tasting everything. I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, I miss everybody so much, it's nuts. But we're getting there. I think we've survived this long, we can make it one more week. I hope. Okay, you just take a little piece each time, because
Yeah.
And you can do, if you wanna do these in foil, you can do these in foil too, it doesn't have to be the plastic wrap. I like the plastic wrap, but it doesn't, you know, like I said, it doesn't matter. Okay. Any more, no more questions? Somebody's gotta have some questions. The books are selling very well, everybody is thrilled, I'm thrilled. They'll be here when you come next week. They'll be here for probably a while, because I have a lot of books. But they've been a big hit. A lot of people are giving them for gifts, for Mother's Day, or one of my students, her husband has, some secretaries, and she gave, for Secretary's Day, she's given, each a book. Some of the people know me, so that's even better. So, you know, it's nice, nice little gift, and it's very practical. I think the book weighs about 3 pounds. Okay, so we're good? All right. Thank you, ladies. We'll see you next week in person.
Yeah.
9:30. Come hungry.
Shine you off?
Yeah.
Are we out?
Yep, give Karen a hand wrapping these, huh? I'm gonna get a tin underneath the cabinet.
Okay.
How many should we send to the Rummies?
Well, I'm gonna get